Travertino is a mineral-based, natural decorative coating that gives a travertine look to the surfaces it is applied to. It is a material that enables many different effects to be obtained on the texture with the skill of the artisan. It is used with its undercoat in interior walls of the buildings, wall plastering, gypsum plastering, gross concrete and wooden surfaces. The Travertino decorative coating of the intended color should be stirred thoroughly before use and should not be thinned. Two coats of Travertino are applied by using a stainless steel trowel and a small trowel that is used as a shovel on surfaces for which the interior wall surface preparation has been completed. Consumption in all coats should be 1,200 to 1,400 grams according to the smoothness of the surface and the type of giving design patterns. The first coat should be 1 mm thick and there should not be any trowel dents. More products should be applied to where the finished part of the surface meets the unapplied part, thereby a wet area will have been prepared between the applied and not applied areas. This extra product should be scraped off during the continuing application in order to avoid undesired marks. If there is a corner or a column in the application area, the application should be made such a smooth line will be created in the corner or on the column. Afterwards, application should be made to the other side of the corner or the column, and the first layer should be completed. drying period of the first coat is at least 12 hours. After the first coat dries, the second coat should be applied. The second coat application is also made by using a stainless steel trowel and a small trowel that serves as a shovel. The second coat application is carried out up to the corner, all the while being careful not to leave any trowel marks. Before starting to the application of the other side of the corner, sub-design patterns should be given before the surface dries completely. Work of giving sub-design pattern is made with a special sponge trowel. The short side of the sponge trowel is slightly pressed onto the surface and is moved from the side to side parallel to the ground, thereby creating smooth lines. The product remains that stick onto the sponge trowel should be frequently scraped off by using the steel trowel. After the sub-design pattern work that is carried out until the corner, the second coat application is made for the surface past the corner. After the second coat application is completed, final decorative design pattern work should again be done by using a sponge trowel before the surface dries. After the second coat application and sub-design pattern work is completed for the entire surface, decorative final design pattern work should be carried out. Final texture work can be carried out in many ways based on the desired option. We will perform two of these. Travertino brick texture application to the right side of the surface and Travertino's smooth application to the left. Travertino brick design pattern application should be started before the product dries at room temperature after 2-3 hours have passed. First, brick design pattern should be applied to the surface for which the sub-design pattern work has been completed. The work of giving design pattern should be made by zinc scrap design pattern apparatus by making 2 or 4 cm wide and 10 cm long dints on the surface that are parallel to each other and the ground. The apparatus should not be pressed too hard and should be cleaned off frequently by using a cloth that doesn't leave too much fluff. After the surface that will be brick design pattern has been completed, it should be left to dry. The drying period is 5 to 6 hours at room temperature. After sufficient drying has been obtained, the textures should be retraced by using the steel trowel, and thus the surface should be smoothed. After the smoothing is completed, the surface should be left to dry completely. The complete drying period is at least 24 hours at room temperature. After enough time has passed, it is now time for the final work in the Travertino brick design pattern work. It is best if this work is carried out by 2 people. For this, first the brick dimension of the design pattern should be determined. After the dimension is determined, the surface should be measured and marked such that it will be divided into equal parts crosswise. After the marking is completed, seaming work that will bring out the brick design pattern should be carried out. The seaming work should be performed by using a proper template and a flat-edged steel screwdriver. During the application, first the horizontal seams should be made. The applier should place the template on the marks, fix it to the surface, and should place the screwdriver onto the surface and pull it sideways across the template. The width of the seam will be as wide as the tip of the screwdriver, whereas the depth of the seam is related to the force applied onto the screwdriver. That is why the screwdriver should not be forced too hard, so that it doesn't reach the material underneath. The application should be carried out carefully until the widths and depths of all seams are equal. After the horizontal seams are completed, it is now time to form the vertical seams. To do this, the surface is marked such that it will be divided into equal parts vertically. Vertical seams should be made by envisaging a brick wall. After the vertical seams are completed for the whole surface, the Travertino brick design pattern will have appeared. Travertino's smut application should be started before the surface for which the sub-design pattern work has been completed has fully dried, that is after 2-3 hours have passed at room temperature. First, the sub-design pattern work that was made during the application of the second coat should be made to be more distinct. This is possible by using a steel trowel and a putty knife. To do this, the steel trowel should be pressed onto the surface until it creates a color difference on the surface, and then the scrapes on the surface should be made to be more distinct by using a putty knife. After the application is completed in this manner, the surface should be left to dry. The drying time is 12 hours at room temperature. After sufficient drying has been obtained, the surface should be measured and marked according to the number and shape of the smut region on the surface. The smut bands should be formed by using a masking tape, and then the application should be started. In the Travertino smut application, Travertino smut material that is of a different color than the main color is used. This different color Travertino smut is applied twice onto the bands formed by using masking tape. The second coat application should be made after the first coat has been applied and the surface time has passed for drying. The drying period of the first coat is 5 to 6 hours at room temperature. The second coat should be applied without leaving any trouble marks. After the second coat application is completed, the masking tapes should be pulled out while the product is still wet, and the surface should be left to dry. The complete drying period is 24 hours at room temperature.